No matter how bad we are at it, we all like to try to predict the weather. Maybe not all the time, but there's been times where you've seen giant pillowy clouds getting bigger and thought, wow, looks like a thunderstorm's coming. Well, you could do the same thing with group dynamics as well. It gets tricky and it's not an exact science, but it's important to at least hone your skills in possible outcomes. So this campfire, we're talking about cause and effect in order to maintain a degree of awareness of what might come. Any of you who've been to a party as a older teen, young 20-something, you start to go to enough of them and you start to see this cycle. Everyone's excited in the beginning, and there's clear conversations, and things start to escalate and get louder. The music gets louder. People are shouting in each other's faces. And then somewhere near the crescendo of that to the diminishing, people are thinning, there are the adolescent headbutting males who are vying for alpha status in the group. And the alcohol is taken over and the reptilian brain comes out. And so the smarter folk, to avoid problems, usually leave before the crescendo of the height of the party. The best defense is staying away from the chaos. Cause and effect. Read your landscape. What's it like out there? Is the state implementing highly suggested rules? If so, what are the norms and mores in your neighborhood? If you're going out to get the mail and a jogger comes by, what's the unspoken agreements, if you have any? Are you putting yourself at risk because you're out of baby formula and you go to Walmart? It's the only place that's open after 5 in some spaces. Because someone might interpret your going out as just a frivolous night out, endangering their lives. These all sound like far-fetched scenarios, but they're emergent scenarios. They're the tip of the conversation where you say, I knew you were going to say that. We could almost feel that that's a probability, and we're doing our best to steer clear of it. Cause and effect. Proactive cause and effect. The effect of wanting to build your structures to avoid these types of dangerous situations. Fantastic. You've done it from a place of relaxed, assertive confidence. And so you have better results than if you were stressed and forcing an outcome. You don't force the garden. You don't force getting your driver's license. There's some things that there's no other recourse but to put in a wise investment of time, awareness, and thought towards those productive outcomes. There's a rhythm of bird language, if you will, in the forest. When you walk through the forest, especially if it's with a place to be and a time to get there, there's a predictable series of events, a full 2.5 to 3 minutes ahead of your direction of travel. The first is a cessation or stopping of all of the normal behaviors of that forest. The squirrels aren't nuzzling through the leaves looking for acorns and fallen edible debris. In fact, once that stops and the birds stop feeding, everything gets quiet. The next ripple is those animals start to hook up. They want to see what's going on over there. The next ripple is a bird plow effect. All these animals and birds fleeing. And then the long gap of silence after that is interrupted by the murmuring voices of the approaching hiker. When you go out into town, what is your bow wave? When people cough in public places, what's the reaction of everybody else? What kind of ripples is that sending? These are all indicators that you can use to determine what's going to be said next. Now, it's stuff that we may not want to admit to ourselves. But if we don't at least recognize it as a probability to be aware of, to be mindful of, and to maybe avoid, and if not avoid, be able to have contingencies for, these things could be life-saving. These very subtle, easy to ignore messages that might just, people are going to think I'm crazy. Well, don't tell people what you think. Just write it down, create an action plan that's subtle and non-invasive and actually enhances or increases the quality of your life and the probability of you coming out of this better than you found it. That ecological ideal as your waypoint. And no one can promise or guarantee complete safety. Even the doctors call it practice. But hone your practice to its highest level of craftsmanship or artistry. See you on the other side.